Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers. And I hope it's light enough. I know the sun is coming up, and so it might be a little funky. Hopefully it won't be too dark. Okay, and this is the 10th viewer request for the nodes of the moon reading. And I want to say the reason why I read these is because it awakens another part of our consciousness when you hear someone else reading what you are needing to, whatever your node is, or whatever reading I'm doing, whether it's Pluto, Chiron, the nodes, Saturn, and then that gives you a second way of putting that into your conscious awareness so that that can solidify even quicker. So one way is you reading it, so that's why I also send you the copies for yourself so you read it, and then you have the choice of also listening to me. So you have two ways, again, of getting that into your consciousness so that it solidifies even quicker for you, and you can make those changes and free yourself. This is what we want, right? All of us? Okay, so, and I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank all of you subscribers, and thank you everyone who likes and shares these videos, because this helps my channel and all of my videos to circulate to more and more individuals just like you who also need this information. So thank you. Okay, and today, this again, it's the 10th viewer request, and this is going to be North Node in Libra, South Node in Aries. All right. This nodal position requires much learning about self-sacrifice and the needs of other people. All the lifetimes of work spent on building self-confidence and esteem must now be transferred to others. The Libra North Node keeps the individual from adding his sense of self-identity any further. He must guard against strong ego influencing his current life actions. His long-standing me-first attitude now brings him sharp and painful experiences as he is learning the lessons of cooperation. And I want to stop really quick, and I also want to say that, again, don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty, ashamed, any negative emotion towards either one of your house nodes or your zodiac nodes or anything in your chart, because this is what each and every one of us were given at birth. And this is just your unique, special work, personal work in this life, the nodes of the moon. So, and you're going to be doing these things because you don't know any different. That's what the South Node is. The South Node, whether we consciously know it or not, and again, until you read and consciously know that you even have a South Node, you just do it automatically because it feels like that's what and how we are going to get our needs met through the South Node. And it's just a program, but it doesn't work. So when you bring this out into your conscious awareness, like you're doing now, you're listening, then you can change it. Okay. His long-standing me-first attitude now brings him a sharp and painful experiences as he is learning the lessons of cooperation. He must slow down and make sure that all he works for is meaningful. In his marriage and close partnerships as well as all his relationships with others. He has to learn to take the sharp edges out of his life and start to balance. While the center road seems less attractive to him, it is still the only path he can have towards happiness. Ultimately, he must learn the very subtle lesson that his strong, pioneering individualism isn't actually meant for himself at all, but rather to equip him better so that he can provide others with a more harmonious life. Many individuals with these nodes have a tendency to be contrary. The experience of listening to other people is a new one, which they find objectionable when they feel it hampers their forward motion. In past incarnations, progress was all important, and getting there first was part of the highly competitive Aryan drive. Again, which is Aries, Aryan, which is your South Node. This carries over into a definite closed-mindedness with the Libra North Node. Which the Libra North Node will ultimately open, showing to the individual the other side of the coin, which he had never before thought was important enough to recognize. Selfishness and vanity of all sorts must be curbed unless the individual wishes to find himself alone. Usually he feels himself being driven towards something, yet he doesn't understand what or why. Through the Libra North Node, he is now to reconsider his goals and objectives so that his Aryan energy is put to some useful purpose. He changes his mind often, and allegiance to a single cause is not one of his finer attributes. Past incarnations have made him accustomed to a constant, impatient restlessness that still has a tendency to keep him on the move. He knows that he is to give rather than to receive in the current life. Yet he finds it difficult to cope with such karma with his full heart. The Martian quality of the South Node impatiently pushes him in new directions. And they say Martian because that has to do with Mars, and the planet Mars is the natural planet that goes with Aries and the first house, actually. Upon arrival at each destination, however, he finds the gossamer cloud of Libra in the middle of the seesaw and is surprised to see that the goal was not a goal at all, nor was the destination the end of the journey. Puzzled and confused, he sits in the middle, trying to evaluate the circumstances which he hopes will point the way towards his next successful drive. And yet each goal, each ambition, each sprint of running and striving brings him to Libra, the halfway point. Libra has to do with balance, and that's why the symbol of the scales is often used for Libra. Finally, out of sheer exhaustion, he makes the amazing realization that the second half of the journey involves other people. He is to learn the karmic lesson that he is not alone. Wow, you are not alone. He is to learn the karmic lesson that he is not alone. Until he learns to share, something always comes up to put the brakes on his efforts. Eventually, he is brought to the realization that winning or losing the game is much less important than the fairness with which it is played. Many individuals with these nodes are highly opinionated as a result of selfish or bigoted past life attitudes. And again, this is an attribute that you will have, or you will see yourself as having in the past, because this is your south node. We all are going to do our south node, each and every one of us. Okay. Now it is time for the shoe to be worn on the other foot. Much of the current life's events are painful blows to the ego. The individual has to guard against becoming embittered as he sees many of his own wants and desires being taken away from him and given to others. At first, his natural tendency is to be jealous. He wants to fight back for all those things he feels he has lost. Yet, the more he fights, the more he loses. Eventually drained of much of his inner resources, he must surrender his selfish ego and accept living in a world built on sharing. Until he overcomes his south node, his biggest frustration is the witnessing of other people receiving all that he himself had wished for. He doesn't quit. Excuse me. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's true too, but that's not what it said. He doesn't quite yet understand how his works and is puzzled at why all the things he has ever wanted are coming to people around him and yet not to himself. He hardly realizes that all his desires, wants, and wishes are actually designed for others. You are actually helping others get them. Wow. Wow. He is mentally energizing the wishes of people around him so that he can ultimately be an instrument for their fulfillment. In actuality, he is earning himself a new place in the world by living through the karma of selflessness. Wow. Wow. That's really neat. That's a huge thing. That's very beautiful. Very beautiful. Still, the insistent urges of the south node keep pulling him backwards, often making him feel that this is a lesson he would rather not learn. And of course, each and every one of us, boy, my south node, I felt the same way. The same way. I ran from my south node as fast and as far as I possibly could. But I didn't get very far. Okay, where am I? Okay. Still, the insistent urges of the south node keep pulling him backwards, often making him feel that this is a lesson he would rather not learn. He must try to resist past life tendencies to make waves, for he is now capable of witnessing disharmonies between people without taking sides. Often, he is thrown into the position of referee, whereby in helping others to become more objective, he in fact helps himself. The more he can get others to cooperate, the more he can learn to do it himself. Underneath all the hustle and bustle, this individual is learning to see the consequences of his actions before taking them. In effect, he must learn to look before he leaps. For many with this nodal position, there is a deep-seated anger coming out of past life memories of frustrations which block the self-expression. So again, you're going to have this anger, this rage inside, whether you know it or not, right now. And so now you can deal with it properly, and now you know where it comes from. And so there's no blaming. No blaming yourself, no blaming anyone else. This is what's so awesome about finding out what your nodes of the moon are, and astrology, and in fact, especially your nodes, but all of the planets in all of your houses in your chart, in your natal wheel. Okay, so let me. In this life, there is usually a very pleasing physical appearance, which is part of the karmic lesson in vanity that the Aries South Node is here to overcome. Any narcissistic residue also causes difficulty in marriage, as this is the battleground where the war between love of another and needs of the self must be fought. And again, some of you, if you haven't already, maybe you're ready and desiring to find out what narcissism is if you don't know what that is, and start reading about narcissism. Because, and I'm just being called to say, some of you too, this might be in your family lineage. I know it was in mine, and I don't have this nodal position, but I do have a narcissistic one. So, which is mine is South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus, South Node in the 8th house, North Node in the 2nd house. Okay. At least I was benefited from reading about narcissist and scapegoat and golden child. So I'm just putting that out there. That sounds right. Then look it up. Absolutely. There are so many readings on that. Okay, so let's continue here. The balance between Aries and Mars, and Libra, which is your North Node, and Venus is the planet that goes with Libra. It also goes with Taurus. Okay. Okay, so the balance between Aries and Mars and Libra and Venus is a difficult one to achieve. The Aries South Node constantly seeks to assert its needs, while the Libra North Node needs nothing for itself but to love others, regardless of their demands. This individual can feel love for others best. Okay, I'm going to restate that. This individual can feel love for others best only after his own needs are fulfilled. Until the desires of past incarnations are left behind, the incessant pulling of his subconscious demands continues to be so strong that he has a tendency to drain energy from other people, actually putting them to sleep. In effect, he is a walking anesthetic, constantly wondering why people avoid talking with him for more than a few minutes. He would like to talk for hours, if only to continue the focus of attention on himself. But in his private moments, he is deeply saddened by a sense of loneliness and the knowledge that his relationships with others are so far short of what he would like them to be. There is nothing subtle about this nodal polarity. Happiness comes only after he is forced to re-evaluate his desires and truly discovers that they involve other people. The ego self must be abandoned, and with it, a heightened sensitivity to the needs of others acquired. The Libra North Node is one of the most difficult to achieve because the Aries self-love looms as such a large hurdle to overcome. Still, the individual must overcome if there is to be a new cycle for him, and he will find the key to this new cycle as he begins to reflect back upon himself through the eyes of others. The house position of the South Node indicates the area where insatiable desires of past incarnations are still demanding priority. The house position of the North Node shows how fulfillment can be reached through self-sacrifice, cooperation, and the expression of unselfish love to others. Okay, there you go. That's it for the zodiac position. Okay, so any questions, comments? I'd love to hear from you. And again, I want to say too that my email address and all of my information for those of you that might want natal wheels done or interpretations of your natal wheels or any other thing astrologically or intuitively, you can find always in every one of my videos in the drop down box below all my information. Okay, until next time.